Under old business, capital project bids. Henshaw. Going to talk about.
Gorman is also
And Mrs. Gorman,
and
okay.
Chair, I will too.
Thought the robot took it?
Okay, I always seem to follow those hard acts to follow. I'm just going to kind of just review what we talked about at the last meeting, and then, of course, Mr. Henshaw will go into the majority of the presentation. Just a reminder that what we are talking about primarily tonight is our Fund 4 balances. And within school finance, we're restricted in Fund 4 that the money that is set aside is to be used for major facility renovations, equipment, major items. Those funds can only be used for those type of activities. The balance that is in Fund 4, we're limited to being able to transfer that to other funds. You can't transfer that balance out. Now, there are transfers into that fund from the operating fund, but once the balance is in Fund 4, unless you are a school with limited resources, you cannot transfer any funds out. Just reviewing our fund balances at the end of last fiscal year, we ended with unrestricted fund balances of $39.2. Our Fund 4 balance was $9.2 million. And a question that was asked that I wanted to go into a little bit more detail is the reason I'm reviewing this tonight is we're also going to look at our projected balances. And so I was asked to kind of show why we see that there is an improvement in what was budgeted originally and what we're projecting. On the revenue side, what it appears as we end February, that we're trending close to $1 million above what was budgeted. And the primary reasons for that is listed on the board. The foundation formula was budgeted at 91% proration. Right now we're receiving 92.7%. That'll fluctuate a little bit between now and the end of the year, but it should not change dramatically. Transportation revenue that we receive from the state is up greater than what was budgeted. And our local taxes, we're running about $280,000 above what was budgeted. And Prop C, the sales tax revenue, is improved from budgeted. On the expenditure side, we typically see that we experience better than what is budgeted, so we come in lower, and that's broken down on the slide. These are less than budgeted, yes, better than budget. Salary, $175,000. Supplies, copy cost, $194,000, better than what is currently budgeted. Our fuel, we're fortunate. We had budgeted about $4 a gallon, and we're coming in under that, so we're still $61,000 better than budgeted. In our capital projects fund, specifically building and site improvements, looks like we're about $212 better than budget, what we're projecting for the end of the year, and equipment about $82,000. So what that results in, on the left side of this slide, we show what our budgeted balances are. We had budgeted to end the year at 31.56 unrestricted fund balance. What I'm projecting is 35.5%, and Fund 4 ending the year about $1 million better than what is in the current budget. So we are trending the way we want to see. And any questions that anyone has on those, and I'll let Kelly kind of take over from here.
As you well know, Dr. Zalis and I and Craig and Vicki, we talk every day about this type of information, and we began to realize that not everybody lives it every day. So we go back and repeat things, and and not just for your benefit, but obviously since we are on TV, we want to share that this information. And I'm not going to spend a long time on this. This is some of these slides are what we talked about 2 weeks ago in a board meeting. But just to touch on them again, all of you received the full slideshow that Dr. Zales presented back in 2007 for the long-range planning report. And I'll just, as many people may not know, it wasn't just a committee. There were 5 committees set up to study the school district, every aspect of our district, bring information. Each committee had a specific area that they studied, either finance or facilities. Co-curricular programming and facilities was another committee outside of everything else. All that information from that committee came to the facilities committee then, and so they took that along with all the building needs and parking lots and everything else. So it was a large number, probably 50 or 60, 65 people total for those 5 committees that helped build this long-range plan and present information back to the final committee that then put together the report for the board. The purpose of the report is to help us have a plan. Obviously, we need a plan. It needs to be flexible, but it gives us guidance as a district. And the plan that we designed was a 10-year plan, and so, but it is a working document. So things change, and you all, as since '07, we've done things through that plan. There's 3 areas that we really affect a lot of the facilities, either buildings and grounds or capital projects funds or bonds, and those type of funding mechanisms allow us to do those. And some of the items on the long-range recommendations, some items, the only way that a district can do those is through a bond issue. Others can be done maybe through buildings and grounds in a normal budget, and then there's some that fall in between those with capital projects planning. These were the recommendations. I highlighted the 2 that we're really talking about tonight. Our community, the committees, the long-range plan said we need quality facilities. We have to maintain them, upgrade them, and update them. And so that's through a plan. We don't just come up with don't create an idea just because we want to. The other down on the 4th bullet there, co-curricular programming, needs warrant the consideration for upgrading athletic facilities. And as you know, in our budget, we've upgraded since '07 baseball, soccer stadiums, softball, tracks, gymnasiums. We've improved lighting. And many of these tie together. Many aren't just an improvement to make it look better, but energy efficiency, for example. We've replaced lights in every gymnasium to help save the district money. And so there's a purpose behind this, and it's all tied back to the long-range plan. Patron Insight, which we're going to do another survey in April to test our community to see how they feel we are doing as a district. These are hot buttons, so to speak. These are things that the community, almost every community is concerned about these, I would say, from Patron Insight's experience. And the things we're talking about tonight deal with safety. They also deal with quality of school facilities and upkeep. So 3 of the items there. Doesn't make these any more important than the others. It's just that's what we're discussing tonight. This chart you saw 2 weeks ago, we added to the 2nd column. The projected fund ending balance obviously didn't change, and the estimated remaining changed a little at the bottom. And if you recall 2 weeks ago, we presented numbers to you, and many of those were estimates. The Truman Elementary entrance, that's to improve security and control of that building, and that is in the planning stage right now, and that is a budget estimate that we have for that project. High school cafeteria expansion and update, that number was a budget number 2 weeks ago. We received bids Tuesday, and it's just under 1.32 million is what the bid would come in if you choose to award based on the recommendation tonight. The district commitment to technology, that number obviously dropped, and what we had stated 2 weeks ago is we hadn't had our meetings with our director of technology and her committee. What the number on the left, the 735,000, was simply last year's budget number for capital improvements, plus we added an additional 75,000 to that number for some items that we felt we knew we wanted to do, that they'd already expressed to us that they wanted to do. The reason that number dropped after our meeting is, the main reason is because last year, if you recall, we spent a huge amount of funding to make the entire district wireless. Obviously, we don't have to do that again now. So that was in that budget, so it was backed out of there. The budget number of 427 is estimates that are based on Ginger getting estimates on all the projects that she's presented to us that she wants to do, which includes upgrades. It includes pushing us to the next part of our 3-year plan on our technology, as well as upkeeping all the items that we normally do. So there wasn't any. She presented everything. She presented is in that 427,000 for her plan for this next year. And so, our intention is it'll actually come in under that. That would be what you plan to do. Transportation, that number didn't change. We're talking purchase of 2 school buses this year. And then buildings and grounds, as we mentioned before, that's major projects. I think someone asked, that's a replacement of a boiler this next summer. Those types of things that we've been doing on the long-range plan, we don't want to drop those. Other security issues, things that we've showed you about a month ago on security items for the different buildings is all included in this. And this is an estimate still, too. We have met with Larry several times, but not our official budget meeting, which takes place next week. But obviously, Vicki and myself and Larry have been communicating for 2 months. If you recall, back in January, we sent out the buildings and grounds request to the buildings and started that whole process. So building that budget is in its 3rd month now.
You have a boiler replacement in there also?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Which building would that be?
We have 2 buildings. I'm not sure which one Larry's going to recommend. They're the 2 oldest boilers that are still on that list. One of them's at Truman, one's at RTI, I believe. The last number is the high school stadium improvement project. The base bid was $629,555. That's just to turf the game field. The number that I presented to you 2 weeks ago was the alternates that the committee had expressed they were, like to see us be able to do, as well as doing the seating, suggestions that came from you as a board. So the number on the right side is what, if you choose to, that's the recommendation that you would see tonight after we talk about that project. So that's a total of $3.4 million, and would leave in Fund 4 5.2 is the estimate.
And Fund 4 that we recommended for Finance Committee was $4 million. 17% balances overall.
The other thing I would say to you is each year we also budget revenues into this, so that's not taking into account the revenues that we have typically put in each year back into this fund. So those aren't built into that estimate.
And some of these projects would start this fiscal year and finish next fiscal year, early next fiscal year.
The cafeteria project that we're going to talk about, I'll give you the timeline on that, but yes, that is, Keith, we'd start it in May and finish in August 1st.
And our hope would be the Truman project.
Truman project may actually be done in July as well, if we can. It's not out for bid yet. It's we're still in the planning, drawing, design stage, but our hope is that we could get some good numbers. Maybe if the cafeteria is taking place, maybe that builder would be interested in, since they're already here.
And for the stadium project, that does not include the turf by 12 commitment, right?
Donations, correct.
So that number's actually, that number in terms of the budget hit is going to be less.
Correct.
Right?
Oh,
Correct.
that
That's-
figure doesn't include.
Correct.
No, that's the cost. Okay,
Oh,
and we'll
okay.
get to that as I present that particular
So we
project.
could end
too.
up at 5.5, give or take.
Right,
Yeah.
Over time.
right, over time.
Yeah, I get that.
5
years.
The, you said we have revenues that come into this account every year. About how much?
What is that
It's
approximately?
usually 400 to 500,000. It's generally our M&M surtax that we receive, so that usually runs it up.
You want to repeat that so everybody at home
Yes.
can hear that?
Vicki said typically the fund that comes in, what we budget to go into it is from the M&M surtax. It's around $400,000 to $500,000. And then also toward the end of the year, sometimes Vicki will make a recommendation that money be transferred into it. But what's
We can-
budgeted is typically.
We can transfer in, we just can't take
Right.
anything out.
We can transfer in transportation, so new buses.
Correct.
That money could be transferred in. Anything from food service.
Food service and vocational expenditures that we expend in those.
And
areas.
vocational services, okay. So, for instance, there's a change order, or not change order, alternate for the scramble area at the high school.
Mhm.
It's large. Would that be considered food service or not food service? Or are we talking more like kitchen when we're talking food
Generally,
service?
we're talking about the kitchen equipment. I'd have to research the facility
Okay.
piece of it. We have not had that since I've been here, so I'm not sure.
But the equipment, the hot tables, serving tables, the actual equipment could qualify for that.
Of course, if we do that, it's coming from
The operating.
the operating
Right.
fund 1 and 2 to do it, so it's not free money.
Right.
Correct.
No, it's,
Not
yeah,
money we're getting in addition to what.
no.
Yeah.
It's just a choice at the end of the year, as if the budget is running well, you can make those decisions to move it over if you have other projects that you'd like to do. Okay. Any other questions, please ask. We'll just keep moving. I wanted to show you, this is the outside design of the Truman facility. If you, just what we currently have with a new daytime entrance, a security entrance to the right of the main entrance, so between 8 and 3. The idea is that a person coming to the building would enter the door to the right under the new awning, and they would be entering directly in front of the office. As you are well aware, over at Truman, the visibility coming in the main doors is blocked, and so with a office design, and I didn't put all this up here yet. We'll, as we get ready to present it to you for a bid, you'll see more of the plans. But it's just kind of the outside look. We did receive bids for the high school cafeteria expansion and renovation project on Tuesday. We had 4 companies submit bids. You have those, I believe, on page 49.
48A.
48A, okay. And this is just an exterior view. As you can tell, the cafeteria expansion would come out into the parking lot. To the left, you can see what looks like a brick wall on the left with, it's represented on the left end where the trash trucks would pick up. That's a sliding gate on that end, so it's not swinging out into an area. Wind's not catching it. It's against that wall. So that's the design. Also, we do all recycling, all our aluminum and everything in that area behind that wall. Currently, that area is the cedar fencing type look.
Deliveries in that area also?
The service trucking area is to the left of this. It's not shown on this picture. The current loading dock remains the same for now, so it's just the building goes a little further than this.
Okay.
And the walkway goes all the way to the newest addition we had, right? So all the parking along the building would be gone.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Sidewalk, right.
Okay.
And we'll show you a site plan.
Oh, okay.
Okay?
All right.
We'll walk you through this one.
All right.
The site plan, as you can tell, the kind of orangish color for the cafeteria expansion comes out. There is some sidewalk work there that would connect that to the new entrance that we just finished this fall. Also, that sidewalk will run, the sidewalk would run to the south from left to right along the entire trash area to improve safety there. We'll give students, patrons coming to the cafeteria, an actual sidewalk to walk on instead of the driveway. And it's also got handicapped accessible ramps at the south end of that sidewalk, and then also a handicapped accessible area right in front of the cafeteria doors. There are, the base bid is 3,500 square feet, and the alternate two was a screen to cover the chiller over by the football stadium. We put that in there, and if you'll recall, as Mark explained, we added it since this is becoming much more used and kind of the front focal point of the building to some extent. It's used by a lot of community groups, the cafeteria and also the commons area. So we looked at that, but we also knew it was going to be a fairly high number. You get into wind load and footings, and so that was one of those items that we, even though we were bidding it, we knew we might not be interested in taking that. Alternate one is the scramble area, 1,600 square feet. This is a little bit better view for you, floor plan. We'll pick up about 95 to 100 seats in the new seating area. Existing, we have 350. The scramble area, we were talking about the reasons to redo that area. One is to serve students more efficiently. Also, one of the byproducts is with new equipment, we can actually use our staff much better. This will increase the serving areas in the high school. Currently, we have 4 serving areas. We'll go to 5 serving areas and a full salad bar on this west wall. Any questions about this design or plan or?
350 in that current cafeteria is pretty packed, isn't it?
350 would be every chair.
Every,
Right.
yeah,
So it would get us.
Hickory could tell you what it's like.
pretty
Yeah,
packed.
it's pretty
Pretty
packed.
packed. Okay.
So we'll give us some space. Also, you can tell by the outside view, the cafeteria will be much more open with the new addition. If we have community groups that have 60, 70 people, they can meet in this part of the cafeteria, but it will be opened up through there. Those columns are about 20 feet apart. So they're 20-foot openings instead of what is currently there right now is several 3-foot windows spaced across that part of the building.
So at one time, we talked about, building that exterior walkway.
connection.
So we've sort of designed that in if we.
It is designed if we
decide
chose
that.
to do it, Keith, the base footings, foundations, that idea, how we would tie that hallway into this addition and the other addition. Mark's taken those things into account,
Okay.
the design part of that.
I just hate building stuff and then, we decide to do it and
Right.
end up tearing it back out again.
It's designed where it would match up to both buildings, both soffits, same height, those type things.
So that they could walk covered all the way.
Yeah, the
from-
idea was,
Right.
yeah.
Well, originally, we talked about, part of the discussion was maybe moving the offices down to this floor, where that would actually, the current exterior wall would be an interior wall of a hallway, and the offices would come out into that hallway. To be quite honest, we've designed it where we could do that if we ever choose to. If we feel like we want to move the high school office, the guidance office, everything downstairs. The recommendations from all our discussions with our administrators and our guidance staff, they felt these two items were much more important than moving the office. There's some real benefits to having the office
Both.
separate,
Yeah.
two different levels. For day-to-day discipline, handling students, supervising the building. So there's some real, we went back and forth on that, and then also the cost of that originally would push this project probably another $600,000.
Is there still any talk about, one time you talked about the possibility of moving the inside doors?
Those are planned.
Okay.
Yeah, that's part of that 520.
Okay.
For security. The
Okay.
inside doors on the second floor where the
Yeah.
main office is at.
More designed like junior high where you could.
Correct.
Okay.
And we're actually, great question, we're actually doing the middle school over spring break.
Oh, good.
Where we're designing it. So that wall started to come out. I think Larry started his crew on some of the demo, or planning the demo yesterday.
Right.
And the doors, everything goes right, middle of spring break, it'll be done. So the high school, that is part of Larry's projects for this summer,
Okay.
to redo the front doors
Okay.
in that addition. And that gives us control access to our building on that level.
Good.
Okay? Just another couple views, a little closer up, but give you an idea of what it would look like. It ties in, obviously, we tied it into the new addition that we just, with the science wing.
Do you have
Same
a
style.
drawing of that screen?
I did not put it on here, and I'm sorry, because I was going to, the
I mean,
plan
if we
is
had
not
to
to
decide,
recommend
I
it.
would think the scramble area is a lot more important than the screen.
Yes.
Well, I think that's why I didn't put it on.
I didn't even put it on there. We're not even going to recommend it.
Okay.
And you see the signage too. We talked to Dr. Pritchett about, actually, we did do this. He went on campus at S&T and directional arrows, where the office is, where the lower area, cafeteria. The building's got enough areas to it to try to bring some organization to it. So we're going to try to do that. You can see how we're denoting those too. So.
We're still trying to figure out what to label the new entrance on the lower level by the science wing. Because it's, if you
Is it the back
said,
door
if
or
you
is it
said
the
that
front
was
door?
the south entrance, technically it is, but that would be confusing. This is the cafeteria. We can figure that one out.
Attendance.
Attendance. We thought, yeah.
Parking lot.
It may be lower commons or lower level lobby or
Lower
something.
commons,
So
lower
we're working on all those details.
So the recommendation is to just do the alternate one.
Here's the recommendation.
Oh, geez, that worked.
High school cafeteria expansion and
You guys work
renovation
together.
contract to Bales Construction Company Incorporated, the base bid, and alternate one at 1.313381.
Very good.
The timeline, Keith, you were asking about, we'd like to, obviously, we're going to get started right after school with major construction, and the intent is to be done August 1st. We did do a phone conference interview, architects, myself, and Bales, to make sure they were, one, comfortable with their bid, two, comfortable with the timeline that's set out. The biggest concern, obviously, is once we getting things ordered, getting material here, those type things. The actual construction part of it, they're very comfortable with, which is when we award this, Mark will design the contract, and we'll get with Bales. And Bales did the middle school project for us, went very smooth, great employees, did a great job, didn't have any issues, and they've taken care of everything that was a minor issue, warranty, those type of things. They've chased those with anything that's down. So
Some local connections there too with Bales, isn't there?
sure, yeah, it is a local company, and their subcontractor list is using local people, and it's good for our local businesses to have that opportunity.
Very good.
I'll make the recommendation, we accept the bid to expand the high school cafeteria
I'll
as
second that.
Thank you, thank you. All right, it's been moved and seconded that we accept this recommendation number 1 for the high school cafeteria expansion. All those in favor, say aye, please.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Very good.
And you guys can work on that fence over the summer. Your summer bonding, administrative team bonding
Look up
project.
above the 2 connection points in this building, and
Yeah.
we put a windscreen in there because it just looked like 2 separate buildings. And when those bids came back, I thought, my word, that's a custom-made grill. So when we anticipated this being 40,000.
I hadn't really noticed it till I was over there for the tornado thing the other day, and that looks pretty, especially when you consider the fact we have community and other school districts coming in and out of there for the football field. I think
I'll
it's
have to
something
look at
we
it.
need to put somewhere in the plan to figure out a way
Leave it in
to
there.
clean that up.
We'll continue to look at it.
Clean what up, I didn't hear you.
Where the
and,
screen goes.
Maybe
where
some of
the
these
cool-
young people
yeah,
who
it
were
just
here
looks
tonight
better.
can work on it.
Yeah.
So
Maybe
I'll
some of
come
these
up,
young people who were here
No,
tonight can
no,
work.
we'll look at other options
Yeah.
that are maybe a little more affordable.
Yeah.
And obviously, a good coat of paint might
might help a little
help
bit.
to start with, those type of
Water
things.
treatment.
Huh?
Water treatment.
And water
We
treatment.
could,
right.
we could
The
get a
big
robot.
bulldog
built
head
for that.
there.
Big bulldog
Yeah.
head.
Yeah.
Right.
The Kelly Long Memorial Bulldog head. I don't think I
All right.
want to do that.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Our next
On the outside.
project that we need to discuss, Lions Memorial Stadium project. This project, I just want to talk a little bit about when did the project begin. And I'm going to say this has been around a long time. Synthetic turf's not new, but it sure has changed. The technology has changed over the years, but I went to Dr. Zales and said, what was the story you were telling me about having to pick up turf one day? And he said, I had 2 board members at MSBA come upstairs and get me and take me down to the exhibition hall and insist that I pick up a sample of turf and bring back. So the interest has been around a long time. And then how's it evolved? Well, we had interest of few, and obviously you all know that it's become more affordable, to be quite honest. 15 years ago, the price was probably in the neighborhood of $2 million for the project we're talking about. And cost has come down some. The Board of Education Long-Range Planning Committee, as I mentioned in 06-07, that committee, those recommendations came in to upgrade that facility. And we're not just talking about synthetic turf. Improvements like seating, improvements, increased seating and those type of things, and to make it more accessible. So those are all different things that came from those areas. Then in 2010, we had a committee, a group, come to the board and ask if the board would approve a charter for an ad hoc committee consisting of alumni, patrons, parents, and school personnel to work together to see if this could come to fruition. But I do want to point out, and there's some, it's really hard to communicate everything with every person, and you guys are well aware of that in your own lives and your own business, but this is something that wasn't created by an alumni group, this idea. It wasn't created in 2010. It's a long-range plan to upgrade a facility. I pulled this from their charter because, you know, Keith and I were talking about perception and reality, and sometimes perception is reality for people. So I wanted to show you what the charter was in 2010 for the committee that was put together. The goal was to collaborate, and since it's a Board of Education ad hoc committee, I would assume that meant collaborate with the school district to work towards securing the funding support necessary for installing the field turf. The charge of the committee was to create the vision, share a vision, discuss an alumni support network, trying to pull alumni in, getting them involved, discuss internal school district support strategies, and then identify resources, funding ideas, web-based processes, core, in-kind labor, all those types of things. And then the task you can see. I'm not going to read those to you. But what I wanted to share with you is that these are the people that at some point served on the committee. Kenny Light started out as our chairman. Bill Peach has served 2012 and 13 as our chairman. And many people from many different areas, many of them alumni. And I just want to thank this group for what they've done so far. I don't think they feel like they're done, but on the other hand, I think they met what their charter asked them to do. I'd like to think that. And I don't, many of these people went out with a commitment to raise every dollar that it might take, and then some. One of the best ideas that I think they came up with was the fence banners. That's we've gotten commitments from 12 businesses to advertise at $250 a month for 5 years. Some of them went and bought a double-sized banner and committed $500 a month. So 12 businesses, and there's no reason that would have to stop if those businesses want to continue to advertise. So I thought that was one of the best ideas that the committee came up with, not just to help make this project happen, but also to, in their mind, to continue to help the school from now on. And they hope that more people will participate in that. More businesses. We have 32 slots that they could advertise if someone chooses to. So hopefully people will continue to join in with that. Matter of fact, I met with a company last week that is going to, but I don't have their paperwork, so we're not counting them as part of this donation yet. Also wanted to just remind you and the public of how many people really donated, and the dollar amounts aren't that important because it's what can we do with the total, but these next 3 slides, and I didn't make them huge, but these represent over 50 businesses or individuals that have donated. And as I mentioned before, I had a $2 donation, anonymous donation, that came in an envelope from the junior high one day. So there are many people that feel like this is good for our students and good for our school district in our community. And we want to thank each one of them. Most recently, I had a gentleman come in literally on Tuesday of this week and bring a commitment of $1,200 for the next 5 years. And he said, I've been meaning to do this, and I saw in the paper where bids were in, so I thought I better get it in. But even if we start the project, we would more than happily take donations. Last week, 2 weeks ago, you also asked the question, how much cash have we brought in so far? We've deposited in core as of January 31st, $44,000 of the commitment. Fence banner advertising, we have already collected $53,650. That advertising is in our financial realm. We keep that here at the school. It's a little bit different than core because core would have to decide how much of that $250 a month is advertising. We felt like businesses could claim it all as advertising, so they pay it directly to our district. We have a fund set up just for fence banner advertising. And as Greg pointed out, he asked me a question a couple of weeks ago. Our consultants, Archer, Elgin, and Anderson, we've paid them out of this account some money to help with consulting on writing the RFP, those type of things. So those dollars, I don't want to count dollars twice, okay? So the number at the bottom includes that cash that's already collected there. So the committee has gone out, total cash, interest, pledges, in-kind donations, which right now total about $8,700 is what we're estimating on the in-kind, and the fence banner contracts total $285,355.62. Does that answer? I believe, Keith, you had that question as far as money and last 2 weeks ago.
I think, am I remembering correctly, a couple of meetings ago you'd mentioned that you had meetings coming up with a potential major donor?
Well,
Or
we have a company that we have sent them what I would call a counter proposal. They offered $25,000. They asked for a fence banner and some additional things. I sent a response back to them a week ago Monday in writing, saying these are the things that we've done for the other 6 donors in that $25,000 to $30,000 range, and I really cannot do more than that for your $25,000. They have not responded back whether they're going to give us the $25,000 for what we are offering, or if they're not. So it was one of those things. There's other people out there that could donate, but that was the meeting you're referring to.
So if I look at just the turf part of the project, and I've kind of looked at this project, even though it's one bid, in sort of 2 different ways. There's the turf piece, and then there's the upgrades to the stadium, which I think we've all talked about really need to occur, whether we put synthetic turf down or we keep good old Bermuda grass. If my math is correct, we've raised this 355 number represents about 42% of the turf part of the project. What was the ratio we used for the rest of the Bray complex in terms of donations versus?
I can tell you what the
district's
what it turned out to be.
Yeah.
It wasn't something that you necessarily picked a percentage, but the total project for Bray, softball, baseball, was about $2.1 million. Donations, in-kind donations, land donated, those type of things.
And that was a huge piece of it, was the land, the original.
Yeah, the land was
donation.
$550,000, I believe. Is that right number? The total in
450.
450. Okay, thank you. The total estimated donations were right at 1.1 million, 1.1, somewhere in between there.
Okay.
So.
About
50%.
50.
Close to 50.
And if you take the land out, which, I'm not discounting that, but I'm looking at it from an improvement perspective. We wouldn't have done the project without the land.
Right.
So,
There'd still be a street
Okay.
there. We'd still
Yeah.
have city swimming pool, too.
yeah, we'd still have 3 houses there. And
Keith, the softball project, for example, was, and I'll use 3 numbers. The softball project, if it was a turnkey architect project with a general contractor coming
Right.
in to do it, was probably about a $400,000 project. We have $231,000 invested in that project and had right at $100,000 in donations. So, just to kind of give you the perspective.
Okay.
Plus, we used our masonry class
Yeah.
and construction trades like we did down at
Just a
Parade.
Which we figured some of that, we estimated labor cost for kids laying brick and those kind of things, and built that in as part of that donation.
Can our masonry class do anything on this field as far as the concrete bleachers?
Not really, and the reason, softball field, if you recall, took 2 years. You can spread that project out as far as laying brick, those type of things. This project has a timeline as far as it's got to be ready to go, so it's a little bit different.
Okay.
But
But if
we do have some in-kind donations, and we do have some others that I had a meeting with the low bidder last week. Don Bollinger's here from ATG representing them tonight. But I had a meeting with Don last week just to discuss, and we had discussed these possibilities, but a little more formal last week to talk about in-kind donations and working with local contractors. We have 5 companies up there that are 4 companies and the city have offered to haul 25 truckloads off-site at no charge. Met with Steve Hargis, for example, and Steve said, yeah, and if I can have the topsoil, that makes it even, I might be able to haul a few more loads, because the city currently goes 15 miles to buy topsoil. So there's some benefit that, and Don, from the beginning, a year ago, has expressed that his company is willing to work with local contractors. Obviously, they have to stay on schedule.
Sure.
Obviously, they have to show up when they need the trucks. They can't just work as it works into their schedule. We've got to stay on schedule, but if there's people out there, rock quarry, whoever, that we can work with, we'll continue to try to get those type donations, even if this project's applied. We did bid it with unit cost. Part of that reason is because we wanted to be able to quantify those. If a truckload of rock's donated, we wanted to be able to quantify that so we could back that out of the price. There's also one other thing that I will tell you. We wrote in the RFP, we ask that the contractors, there's something called lime stabilization. Some fields need to be stabilized, some fields don't. When you get in and you take the topsoil off, you find out that there may be soft spots. We found this in some of our building projects, where you have to add lime or shore it up before you put your sub base down, before you put your drainage down. We did ask the contractors to put in 25%. That's in the base bid. We also gave unit prices. You can see those on the bid for if we had to do 100% of the field. And so we have figured those numbers. That could potentially be on top of this cost, okay? And
Or under.
or under, yeah. The cost that we figured additionally, if we had to do a lime stabilization for 100% of the field, would be in the neighborhood of $27,000 based on our low bidder.
So what was the unit price here?
Believe it was,
Per square foot or
no,
per
square yard.
square yard?
Square yard, $4 a square yard.
Okay.
Right.
That makes me feel much
Did it
better.
get typed foot?
No, I didn't have it on here.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
You said 75 to 100%.
Okay.
Kelly, would you speak to how many, Keith was mentioning the turf and stadium improvements that we pick up seating and handicap accessibility places for you to talk
Safety,
to?
Right.
cheerleaders also.
And Keith, I appreciate you separating those out. The base bid for just the field itself is about $629, the $630. In that plan, we also, things that were part of the long-range plan is to improve seating. We want to make this accessible not just for one sport. So part of the bid is to expand the field 20 feet so we can get a soccer area there. Also, I mentioned safety for our cheerleaders. They're down on turf during a football game instead of up on concrete, those type of things. So that retaining wall is moving west. We would relocate approximately 30 sets of bleachers, 15 on each end, and then also add an additional, we figured about 400 to 450 seats to the stadium, which is a little over 12% of what the stadium can seat. And also discussed with Don, and what they have to do is we sit down and they'll design and then present us the submittals for the actual seating area.
Yeah.
And we'll approve those with the help of Archer and also Anderson consulting us on that. We talked about making some ADA seating at the top that's designated.
Yeah, that would be good.
As an athletic director, sometimes we'll put up signs on the current railings, but really people don't see them. It's not as obvious. We'd like to
But
have.
it's so crowded up there with the concession stand and everything else. It's really not fair to those folks in the wheelchairs.
So what
would be
we'd
good.
like to do is up the top, kind of design, if you've, some of the stadiums you've maybe been to, you've seen areas.
Little platform.
Obviously, we're not going to try to get them down.
Yeah, just a little platform at the top would be, get them out of the flow of the kids. Yeah.
So make that more accessible for our handicapped patrons.
So the idea here really is that we would move the morning band practice from the community track over there, so they're not marching in the mud.
Right.
We'd be doing football all the way, I guess, from really 8th grade football all the way to varsity there.
Community
Soccer.
Community football can come there.
PE.
Physical education.
22 sections.
It's really, obviously, it's a backup field or a secondary field if we're hosting a tournament. Soccer, we could have games going on both fields, providing there's not another event planned there that
Right,
night or
yeah.
something, but that's all the scheduling issues for the athletic director. But it's not, I look at it and talk to schools. I was talking actually today with an AD, with a superintendent about Washington School District also hosts a band contest
Yeah,
like we used
they have
to.
grass, yeah.
And they've lost bands too, just like we experienced back in '07. We went from 31 bands down to our last time we hosted, we had 14 bands. Bands are saying, okay, we're spending $65,000 on band uniforms.
We don't wanna
We have
march
to
in the
wash
mud."
them because we went to your field. We can go to a turf field. So, as you know, back in '08, it was the last time we hosted a Route 66 band festival here. Mainly because we never could, one, know if we were going to actually have it, and when we did, sometimes weather dictated a real problem. So there's some groups, we've talked about that before, but the groups that really benefit, our students benefit far outside the athletic realm. We've got 180 students in band that can access that. The positives to synthetic is that it's there. It can be used 7 days a week if that's what you choose. It can be used as long as it's not lightning. It'll drain. It's designed to drain 16 inches of water in an hour. So we can get a
We
pretty
get
good
16 inches.
downpour.
If
that
The
happens,
last-
I'm not going to
the
come
last
watch
thing we're
whatever
worried
they're
about
doing.
for the
It'll be
field
dry.
drains.
So,
A good example would be teams in the last, since practice started, the 20-something of February, they haven't been able to practice hardly on.
right.
Who do you say?
with this
For example,
field.
baseball is a great example. We had snow the first week, which obviously you're not going to go out and you can brush. There's ways to get it off of synthetic grass, but there's proper ways to do it. But once it started to melt, we spent a week indoors just because of a muddy infield, and you can take ground balls there.
Or the girls' soccer team.
Or girls' soccer, or
Yeah, I don't think they've had an outdoor practice yet.
right.
They were practicing today.
today.
Outdoor?
So there's a lot of benefits for that area, and it is a prime 3.5 acre area that we restrict currently to about 5% of the use. So with that in mind, I think this is, as you're well aware, the base bid was doing the field. The alternates included 1 through 10.
What's
And
rotating goalposts?
The second one there is the dog head, actually.
So the rotating goalposts, we can line them up when the field goal kicker kicks?
Just in case you have somebody that kicks to the right or left. A rotating goalpost was an option that we wanted to consider. They'll actually swivel out of the way. There were some rule changes that don't make that necessary anymore with soccer. There was a time, a couple of years, where interference was not only a problem but also a rule problem. And so that's been solved. We've had some discussion about those. We went ahead and put it on the list. We didn't really feel like we were going to do it, but it was an option. Also, part of it had to do with, do we even have room on the 10th Street end to put one? The more we've studied it, it takes about a 17-foot radius, and we don't have that on that end to turn it.
So we can eliminate that.
And trust me, I've met with our coaching staff. Kathy's met talking about this, even this specific of an item with Coach Howard. Is it that important? Is it worth moving a field 20 feet to the south? Those type of things. So everybody's very comfortable with not taking that alternate. Also, we did price a synthetic practice field on alternate 9. Very competitive price, but I don't believe that we're not going to recommend that one. We've got other items that we feel are much more important, other facility items that are more important than that, and serve in other areas of our district.
So we're going with the R instead of the Bulldog?
Correct.
Is that because of the cost? Or because
one's the cost, but to be quite honest, I had our entire committee look at the different diagrams, the different computer-generated items, and I didn't have one person tell me they would pick it even before they knew the price.
Really?
Can you
The
show
R
us
is the R is very bold. It's crisp, clean. Those are the kinds of things that people said to me when they were looking at them. And I know
That's what it's gonna look
Tony has seen them.
Yeah.
Jamie has seen them. I think that's kind of what the consensus was with most people. And then obviously when they did look at the price, it's much more intricate. The other thing I would say is,
I think that's good looking.
and Don may or may not agree, but I think the more seams you have, the more possibilities you can have a seam come loose and have to have it repaired. This is not paint. This is, when you look at maroon, it's maroon carpet or it's white carpet or black carpet. It's actually grass that's that color. And so each one of those is put together. So if you can imagine our dog head logo with gray, white, black, red teeth,
Yeah.
maroon collar, there's a lot of seams, and that's part of the cost is actually making it. But really, I think people looked at it and said, this is a crisp, clean field and looks good.
It may not be worth any cost, and it may not be worth the time to even look at it, but I'm still curious, around the R, that circle, either in white or in gray.
Well, that circle would have to be the same color as your soccer lines, because that's part of the soccer. You're talking about the circle?
You're
Circle
talking about
around
the
the R.
entire
The circle around
inside
the
of the
R.
circle?
around the R.
If
Oh, you
inside
mean
that
making it-
circle, what's currently green,
Oh.
if instead it became either gray or white, then not like it's an issue. I just, when I was looking at those drawings, that was the first thing I thought of was
Yeah.
Well, I can get a price for you.
not,
I'm sure Don will give us one.
But
right now, too.
Well-
Gold pants, bright gold.
But, obviously that would be a change.
yeah,
in
I'm
the
not,
bid.
I just,
But,
it'd be worth seeing a drawing if it
I
was.
think that's
my
very
guess,
good looking.
Tony,
I do too.
my guess, just to make it simple, is it would be somewhere between the cost of the R and the cost
To
of
the
the dog.
Bulldog.
And then we're getting into,
Is that fair, Don? Okay.
Can we look at different fonts of the R?
yeah, $10,000.
In addition? In addition.
Okay.
So it actually
Well, I
more
love that
expensive
green
than the
around
dog
that
hair.
R.
That green looks really
That
good.
green looks better and better.
Anything else to disorient our football team? I'm not on green anymore.
Sure.
Oh.
I
Shot
love
that
what you
idea.
got up there
I
right
think the
now.
green looks
All right.
nice.
Okay.
So I'll go forward to this slide and just remind you that we're talking the green squares are the sections of seating. The yellow line in that picture is kind of where the retaining wall would move back to. It's gaining us 20 additional feet of playing surface.
What's going to be the height of that wall,
It's,
approximately?
I think we first estimated about 5 feet, but it might be a little less than that,
Just
Don,
under-
depending on the design.
Okay.
And the blue box out there is the press box?
Yeah, that's the soccer.
That's the
current-
They're
penalty
not doing
box.
anything to
And the
that.
green would be the new
Seating.
seating.
The new seating.
So a section on each end of what we currently have.
And where's the new press box?
What do you think?
All right.
Kelly, you said it earlier, but I don't know if everybody heard it, but that also gets the cheerleaders down on the
Exactly.
field where they've got more room, they're out of the way, they can do stunts in addition to cheers and things like that, where you see a lot of
They're on
other
a
schools.
safer,
Yeah, it's much more safe.
The other thing that it also does, if you stop and think, the actual football playing area is in the same spot, so you're gaining grass for not just soccer, but your band. I was talking to John Slowinski this week about Route 66. We were just talking about maybe getting that restarted if we can, and he said, boy, coming off of 10th Street will be nice because one band can still be performing. The other one can be bringing equipment in on that 30-foot. Basically, it'll be about a 30-foot wide area off the field to have access off of 10th Street there. So, there's a lot of positives to that, as well as making it almost matching the size of the soccer field we currently play on.
So the tan line is the wall?
Yellow,
There you
tan, whatever you want to call that.
Orange,
Yeah.
yellow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's approximately. It comes back about the lower sidewalk and about the first 4 or 5 rows of bleachers will be relocated,
Okay.
and then we'll gain additional about 450 seats on top of relocating those to those 2 ends. Okay, because we'll have to have a sidewalk at the bottom for egress. For if we needed to evacuate that
So
direction.
we're losing the first 4 rows, but adding 2 sections, and we're gaining 400 seats.
Right.
Wow. Okay.
Because those let's say we lose 5. Okay, there's currently 6 sections across there. That's 30 bleachers. So you take 15, move them to one end, 15, move them to the other,
Yeah.
and then you put new on up.
Mm-hmm.
There's about 26 rows of bleachers total that'll be left from the new front all the way up to the top.
Okay.
So
Okay. Okay.
and those are 32-foot wide sections, I believe is what we have. Okay? So, if it's approved, just give you a timeline. We had put this in the RFP of May 1st and completion by July 1st. Don's actually talked to me about starting once the contract's in place, all the insurance papers and all that stuff are taken care of. They'd like to start by April 1st if the weather allows them to, and be out of here by June.
Wow.
Now, obviously, weather can affect that, but since we don't have a track, that's one of the things that I think helped our bids, is because all 3, the contractors knew that they could get in and not have to wait until track season was over to start the project. So,
Okay.
all right, any other questions? This is my second recommendation for the night. We would recommend as an administration that we award the bid to ATG Ram Industries, base bid of $629,555 with alternates 1, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, and 10 at $183,188. So the contract would be $812,743.
I move that we accept
I
that.
think it's important to reiterate something you had said earlier, about the misinformation out there, the misconceptions, misunderstandings, however you might term it. But the original intention was talking about turfing the field, which basically is the 629. Okay, it's the school district that has decided to make this a larger project based on other needs, and so just rounding things. Keith has a calculator, I don't, but just rounding things, you figure the committee has raised or is going to raise at least half of that.
Pretty close.
So when people compare what the committee has raised with the 812,000, that's not really the fair comparison to make.
Right.
Okay, because the
That's why I think it's
183,
really two projects.
right? The 183 is what we've added, to make it a worthwhile project in more than one way.
We wanted to replicate the goodwill we created with Bray. That's been a gold star for us, I think, as a result of everybody wanted the district to contribute some, and the community got behind it, service clubs, in kind. It was several neat things over the last 10 years, and kind of replicated that same. A lot of businesses and individuals contribute to this too.
And I think there's some people on the committee that are committed to still going out and talking to people and asking them to.
We got Mitch here
help
who
with
helped
this.
Bill quite a bit.
No, Mitch, I didn't see you come in. I'm sorry. Mitch Lewis, Bill Peach. Mitch has been just one of the really organized the fence banners, helped businesses get
Real workers.
the designs done that they wanted, and managed all that for us. Did a great job. So,
Certainly did.
Tony has made a motion. I would like to second that and continue
Continue the discussion?
this discussion, but
Okay. And of course, I think you've made it clear tonight, too, people can still contribute to this, too. They can still contribute online, on the school website, and you're still talking with businesses.
or every other project we've got
Yeah.
going in the school district. Robotics, all those things
projects
are
going on.
great things to do for our kids and for the community as a whole.
Does anybody else have any other questions for Kelly?
How many spaces do you have left for banners?
We've
A
sold
lot.
12. We started with 32,
Okay.
and that's just the far fence.
What is that, Keith? 32 minus 12.
That would be 20.
Okay.
Thank you.
He didn't have to use
You got the PhD down there,
And
man.
one question
I
I
just
didn't
got
have
the
an answer
calculator.
ready for tonight. That's the only one you guys get. is-
It's also real easy to go to the south fence if we got so fortunate to have the rest of them full.
I mean, north.
North, sorry.
10th
North.
Street fence.
And Kelly, just to cover this, 'cause I don't
directionally
think you said
challenged.
this. What's the estimate of how long this will last, the turf?
Estimated field life expectancy is 10 to 12 years.
Post Henshaw.
We no. Well,
How long did-
thanks. Might be. I don't know.
Could be.
I thought you were retired.
Yeah, yeah. The 10 to 12 years. The warranty is an 8-year warranty, which I think is important for people to know. It's an 8-year full warranty, not just on the turf, but the sub-base, the drainage, the general contractor. In this case, ATG. If it's awarded to them, guarantees all that. There's an 8-year maintenance program where they come back once a year, do a deep cleaning for us, repair anything that needs to be, would need to be repaired, those type of things. We do a GMAX test every year on it, which is part of that maintenance program to make sure that rubber infill is still where it needs to be. If they need to add rubber infill to meet the GMAX rating, which is a concussion shock absorbing rating that fields that they now do on turf, and some schools, even colleges now, are starting to do it on grass fields to make sure that you've softened the field as much as possible and still have a good playing surface. So that's part of this agreement as well. That was in the RFP and part of the contract.
How many fields have you done in Missouri in the last 2 years, would you say?
In Missouri,
Yeah.
probably about 150 fields in Missouri. About 72% of the fields in Missouri are actually our fields. So we're here in Missouri company.
Kelly, can you repeat those answers so the
Yeah.
folks at home
Don,
can
you
hear
can
the
come
answer?
down if you want. They've done, ATG's done about 100, you said?
About 150 fields.
about 150 fields in the last 2 years in Missouri. And they are a company, Don's based in St. Louis. And I guess your main company's in Kansas.
We have an office in Wichita, Kansas, and then an office in St. Louis. We run out of both.
The reason I
we're
got you up
mainly-
here is because we're on TV. So.
I got you. We're mainly in the Midwest, Midwest company. Pretty much all the schools in your district that have it are our fields as well. And we're currently constructing several other in Missouri. Union will start here pretty soon. Sullivan is ours, St. Clair's ours, Grandview is ours. We just did DeSoto. Currently doing Fox and Seckman, doing football and baseball for them as well. And I also wanted to kind of add a little bit with what Kelly said. Keep in mind, part of this agreement is ATG is going to take care of this field for the next 8 years. So that means the district, really, their responsibility for the next 8 years is to pick up trash. That's your only responsibility.
Wow.
Currently, the district is spending probably, I don't want to speak for Kelly,
I was
but
just going
probably
to ask that
$27,000.
$27,000 per year
A year.
maintaining this field. So that cost also is not included in this, but that goes away.
So that
Yeah, but we've
that
got,
pays for the
we've got to be
alternate.
putting money aside, just like the band
Sure.
uniforms. We've got to be putting money aside for, because we can't go back
Absolutely.
and,
But see, the cost savings then are basically paying for the alternates.
over 8 years.
The cost savings will be paying for the replacement.
replacement.
We'll still have, yeah,
Either
and I will share with you, we'll still have, labor cost in picking up trash,
Yeah.
after ball games, maintenance, sweeping the field. Part of this contract, they provide a lawn sweeper type machine that we pull behind our gator that we already have that picks up any loose monofilament or trash or anything else that's out there. One of the hardest things to pick up, and you got to pick it up by hand, is sunflower seeds. We'll have signs everywhere that say they're outlawed, but Don will also say that people don't always read signs. So, but it's just like it's they show up. So there is some cost, but it is greatly reduced. I'll also finish the answer about your question with lifetime expectancy. The intent is that the drainage and the sub-base would not need anything for 30 years. That's the intent of how we wrote the specs. Now obviously the warranty's for 8, but the idea is to design it where when you do a replacement, you're replacing the carpet itself and some of the rubber infield. One of the choices that we went with was an all rubber infill instead of sand and rubber. The reason we made that choice was because a company that comes in 10 years, 12 years from now and replaces the carpet can actually vacuum up the rubber, recover about 80% of it, and reuse it, so you don't have that cost also. So that helps. So about 50% of the $629,000 is the sub-base cost, the drainage and the rock and those type things. So the carpet is around $300,000.
And you have seen the color samples of this. I mean, it's
He actually brought me the maroon tonight.
okay.
It's
a good rich maroon color.
Well, we're going to make sure we won't put it down. Yeah.
I would like to
So-
amend the movement and the motion. Good rich maroon.
Yeah, we that was something that's very important. I have seen it at other fields, but I asked him to bring a sample down tonight.
We
So it'd
built
be in
the
my
University
office.
of Oklahoma, so I think it's pretty close to that color.
Ours is a little darker now.
Is it?
Yeah.
That's why I bought the little darker one.
You're speaking to well, I graduated many years ago, but so I've been around, seen the maroons.
Yeah, lots of.
And maroons are hard to match.
A lot of
Yeah.
them,
Really are.
Very hard.
That's why I asked the question.
And I'll be honest with
We
you,
could change the school colors.
I'll tell you
it's
what.
very difficult. The gym
I
floor
love it.
paint doesn't always
Oh, yeah.
match
Makes
the
it
Yeah.
we never did.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. I've seen the
vinyl,
good and the bad.
but you try.
Yeah.
Okay, are there any other
I was
questions?
just going to comment
Comment?
that, through all this discussion, we didn't comment about going to the public during your last survey to look at, this project was on the radar then long before, and didn't rise to the level of maybe where everybody thought, but it's still a worthwhile project for the community. And needs to be done because of that, because of the use that the field will get. It's time.
And the board put it in order based on those things.
Right.
The choices, the 3 building projects we just finished came before that because of that survey. The public didn't say they didn't want it. They just said they wanted the other things
First.
first. And so that's what we've done.
That's what we've done.
Okay.
Exactly. Thank you, Kelly.
So Tony's made the motion and you have seconded it?
Yes.
All those in favor of recommendation number 2, the base bid with those alternates, say aye, please.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right. It has
I
passed.
would like to say one last thing. I'm just really grateful for the committee and all the work that they did.
Yes.
And I'm sure there'll be other projects that people can get behind. A school district needs the community to support us, the community to support all the things we do. So very grateful, and some people put in a lot more time than others, but every effort, every conversation, hopefully is a positive one for our school district.
Well, I would hope at one of the early football games, we would recognize all the folks on the committee and folks that have donated.
And publicity, I think we need those names like we had there tonight.
We will. There's some things planned. Second home games already planned
There you go.
to recognize those groups, and that's part of some of those things, those agreements we made.
Good.
Very good.
We want to recognize people that had a part in it,
Good.
any part in it.
Well
Okay.
done, Mitch.
We didn't want to jinx you, but we already started planning Route 66 for October 19th and 26th.
Mitch is very involved in the band
Band.
program as well as the committee for turf. And,
30
so
teams.
That's good.
We'll probably shoot 15 and then go for the 30.
Take anything you can get, right?
That's right.
Very good. Thank you, Mitch.
So there you go, Kelly. Here's what we're going to call it.